Hey, boys and girls, theys and thems. I always forget them. Weather report for August 10th, 2022. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to be 26,150 days old. What have I done with my 150 days out of my 26,000th millennia? Yeah, kind of a birthday tomorrow. So
anyway. I'll be 21,414 days.
414?
21,414.
So what are you, Andrew, about 5,000 days or something fucking ridiculous?
Oh, no, probably.
What a fucking little kid, man. Oh, shit. What an inexperienced, bitter little man, as FT would put it.
You bitter little man.
I don't really feel like going over that.
Bitterness, though, makes for better...
you want to make that public?
No,
okay.
I have my reasons. Let's just focus on other stuff today.
Okay.
I just say bitterness makes for better conversation, like when you get up at the general store and you're whittling and spitting in the spittoon and telling stories. Bitter stories are a little more entertaining than just regular boring stories.
Hey, Andrew, you are coming up on 7,000 days pretty quick, like within...
I am?
Yeah, a month or two. You should do days between dates and figure it out and celebrate your 7,000th day.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
How many days is 19 years?
6,900 and something.
Oh, okay.
6,939 or something like that. I don't know.
I'm going to put the link to it in the side chat, and that way anybody who wants to can go to that website and calculate the.
And be sure to check the box that says to include today, because that gives you it puts you on the same page as everyone else.
Well, that makes things a whole lot easier. I thought I was just going to have to calculate it by hand.
No, because the leap years suck.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Well, you could, like, using any online, query tutor or your own installation of SQL Server. They have date and time functions too.
Yeah,
where you can figure out the difference between two dates in terms of hours or minutes or months or years.
Is that the one you're using? Let's see here.
Yeah,
I think that's. I like.
SQL Server, Microsoft.
I got calculate days between dates, and it's kind of it's a lot nicer. I don't know. Well, I like it better. Anyway, what's happening? So Sal Cordova is suing his church. I think this guy is really going down a bad path.
I know. That's just nuts.
So he's suing the church because they escorted him out with security and embarrassed him.
Didn't he already do that?
No, he's suing them now. He's not suing them, but he sent them a letter demanding that they explain why he was sent out. And I think he was saying that that they requested that they keep it private, the conversation. But he didn't want to keep it private. He wants it public. He wants them to write why they sent him out. And I got a feeling the reason that they asked him to leave is because when he was really into that stuff, he was sitting in the back row filming the congregation and then counting the number of participants, right? And I'm guessing that some of the congregation probably said, "Hey, who's that dude back there with his phone taking pictures of us?" I don't know. It's just my guess.
That can kind of creep some people out,
Yeah, I think he was handing out flyers and he was accosting people in the lobby, and he was just being Sel. The only thing Sel can't seem to do is show up and talk to me about some of his ideas. That's the only thing he can't do. Maybe he'll have his lawyer send me a letter about and explaining what he put in that spreadsheet and why. And then I can respond.
Yeah, just sue him.
Yeah, he'll sue me. Sue me to respond to. I don't know what he would do. I can sue him. I could have my lawyer send him a letter saying, "Explain yourself, Sel."
Well, I guess when Christian nationalists take over, they can, church and state will become one, and then he can sue, his church for whatever reason, because now the government and the church are the same.
Well, no,
they'll have the courts.
You just send the SS after him.
Yeah.
That'd be better. So I think this whole thing with McLean Bible Church started when they had a black pastor, and George Floyd got killed, and that black pastor came on TV, or he was on video, and he said something about I am so mad at you. Basically, he wanted to kill white people. That's how he felt, right? Because he was just he was very emotional about it, right? And so Sel put that clip out there and made a big deal out of that clip, and then he got into trouble with the whole church because he was, But I mean, I listened to that clip, and he didn't really say he wanted to kill white people. He said it sort of like, I could just kill white people. It's just like, which I understand. I understand his emotion. And at that time, when he put that clip out there, I was sitting here in Bloomington, Minnesota, about 13 miles away from the George Floyd protests, and we had our buildings all boarded up. And I was thinking that they might start burning our neighborhood, basically because people were so pissed off. And you know what I thought? That was the first time I've ever thought that, but I thought, you know what? That's fair. Because I'm so fucking sick of basically these kind of cop shootings, that I thought if you want to burn shit down, fuck it, go for it. I'm done. I'm done defending. Done saying, peaceful protest, It's just like, I don't know. And I mean, I was talking about, the possibility in my own house, basically, of me getting attacked, right? And I thought, well, you know what? That might be fair. I don't know.
How noble of you, Speed.
Well, no, it wasn't noble. It was just, you know what? Fucking, I'm done. I'm done hearing about the shit on the news. I'm done. It's like, take your best shot. I'm going to turn the other cheek at this point. Yep. It's like, fuck. You can only watch people get shit on so much. Anyway, I didn't want to go there. So so there was that. So Sel suing his church, which God, he's just. I don't
Anyone
know
know who Stupid Monkey Philosophy? Or wait, is that Stupid or Energy?
Probably yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, I just realized. I was like,
I don't know.
I feel like maybe I recognize that name.
Maybe not. Howdy, all. Long time no see. I don't know.
Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could explain yourself, Stupid Monkey Philosophy.
Trusty ape.
Speaking of Stupid Monkey Philosophy.
Trusty ape. Okay.
Jay Dyer.
Trusty ape.
Who's that?
Stupid Monkey Philosophy is
Trusty Ape. Oh, hi, Trusty Ape.
Hello.
Have not seen you for a while.
Philosophy, formerly known as Kevin Chaos.
Oh, Kevin. Damn.
Hello, you and all your AKAs.
Yeah. What are you running from the law or what?
Might as well call yourself Stupid AKA Philosophy.
Yeah. This guy. Oh my God. What on earth is going on here?
I don't know what is going on.
Oh, I got a blended mode. Okay. I think I fixed it. Anyway.
Of Darwinism.
Yeah. So Jay Dyer is, I linked his debate with Matt Dillahunty, if nobody knows who he is, but he's this, he's this full of shit, thinks he's a philosopher. Kind of actually is a philosopher. I think he's trained in it. And he's got all these fucking dumb ideas. And one of the dumbest ideas is that British imperialism is the reason that there is Darwinism. That it was British imperialism and racism and empiricism, naive empiricism, that led to Darwinism.
What?
Yeah.
That's just my response to that. What?
Yeah, we could listen to a bit of it.
Okay.
I'm trying to. Let's see what he says here.
Why isn't it that noticing variation in species and coming up with a theory as to why that variation occurs led to Darwinism? Because that's what Darwin wrote the book about.
Right. Well, he talks about Darwinism like
why doesn't that come up with Darwin? How? I don't know. Okay. Well, yeah. Some people have
something
their
like
ideas.
I think at the end here, let's see, the last clip I did, he kind of explains
essays and sermons by what would become the seed forms of the eugenics movement from Anglican pastors like Malthus. And what we see is a connection between a certain view, in other words, a certain view of anthropology begins to emerge that is ultimately subservient to the Anglo.
I don't think that was it.
Nothing can be known beyond empirical experience. So all of that background is necessary to understand the setting for the development of the worldview, the belief system, the philosophy, the theory of Darwinism. And it is into this stage, this setting, sort of on the nadir of the Enlightenment, as it gave way to industrialism and sort of the modern, according to Dr. Carol Quigley, modern merchant capitalism and monopolistic capitalism. Concomitant with all of that was the rise of Darwinism. But so the setting for Darwinism is all that. And at the time, it was married to a worldview, an Anglo supremacist worldview based on not just necessarily racialism, because racial views are as old as all tribes and cultures.
At least you got that
but
right.
It was married to a certain approach to imperialism that was unique with people like Cecil Rhodes, John Ruskin, the Royal Society, and so forth. And so it is only with the aid and through the aid of the Royal Society, the Royal Institute for International Affairs, and so forth, that the marriage of Darwinism to what was believed to be an Anglo supremacy, that it was able to.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Okay.
What point is he trying to make exactly?
He's trying to make the point that it was British imperialism and the Enlightenment and empiricism and a bunch of other shit that, was the setting for the creation of Darwinism, and that we never would have thought that if we didn't have these presuppositions and we didn't have this mythos and this religion, basically. Oh, fuck. And he's calling it like a mythos and a religion, and he's claiming that we couldn't possibly look at an earthworm and just do the science of understanding an earthworm without presuppositions, basically, is what he's saying.
So is he saying like that we wouldn't have come up with an idea of evolution if there wasn't this cultural setting at the time?
Right.
Or?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that's what he's
blatantly false.
That's what he's saying.
So, but all that happened was somebody, actually more than just Darwin, but somebody asked, well, why are there different species? How can we look at that other than just look at the Bible going, oh, God put them there? in 7.
Well, yeah, people have been
on
thinking
day
about
6.
how things evolved long before
Yeah.
Darwin. Like
And
Darwin
so they
wasn't
say,
the
okay,
first
there's
guy to come
variation
up with it.
among the species. How could that happen? Well, if somebody has a bit longer reach and can get to the food better than somebody else, they're likely to live longer, and so that would favor certain critters and certain populations with longer reaches surviving, so that you have the short-armed whatever creature in this location and the long-armed creature in this other location, and boom, you've got change. And what made the difference? Natural selection. I guess maybe your worldview or your background philosophies may help you to see things in a certain way, but that doesn't mean that the things that you think about and the theories that you come up with are incorrect theories because they come from a worldview that some guy named Jay doesn't like.
Right.
It just means that maybe it helped you see things in a different way, but you could still look at variation and natural selection under most other worldviews. I don't know of any worldview that would not allow you to think thoughts in terms of, okay, well, there's some variation there, and as the environment changes, then some populations have the advantage over others.
Yeah, look at his diagram here. He says overproduction, struggle for existence, variations.
I think he's misspelling existence there.
Oh, yeah. Favorable variations, unfavorable variations, elimination, unable to survive. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Survival of the fittest. Okay, there's that bullshit. Which means survival of that which fits its environment, I think is the original meaning that Darwin was portraying, right? I mean, it wasn't the fittest, the strongest, the fiercest.
Survival of the fittest is just a terrible phrasing of it.
Right, yeah, and it was the taking and adding to and extending the idea, the very simple idea of survival of the fittest in terms of natural selection over a population. It's that taking it and applying it in an incorrect way to things that don't have anything to do with biology, applying it to anthropology, applying it to social policy. That is where it went wrong.
The phrase survival of the fittest actually didn't come from Darwin. It came from Herbert Spencer, who was, I think, a social Darwinist to begin with, and then the phrase became incorporated into later editions of On the Origin of Species.
And they're just saying, well, we're essentially, you have to say that you're an animal just like anybody else in order to think that that's a way that you should behave. See, that's the thing is that is a case of people turning an is into an ought.
Yeah.
That we ought to behave towards other humans that way because this is what we see in nature.
Right.
And not everybody believes that. Not everybody did believe that. I don't believe it.
So, okay, the overproduction does that refer to having a number of offspring or a lot of offspring? I guess so.
It's basically one of Darwin's ideas that most animals or plants produce more offspring than can survive, and that leads to the
struggle that's overpopulation. So I don't know if that means, if by overproduction the person who wrote that chart means overpopulation or not.
No, it's like there are a lot more fertilized eggs than there are births. Basically, there's a lot of natural, a lot of purifying selection happens before there's any birth at all. And then in bacteria, there's a whole lot of overproduction. They'll just keep dividing and mutating. And
he made a reference, kind of a brief reference to Thomas Malthus. He talked about Malthusian
this is the point where kind of Malthus sealed a few intuitive insights for Darwin.
Of course, that was prior to Darwin by quite a few years.
Yeah. It's actually because the the information Malthus put out there actually inspired many natural selection type ideas before and after Darwin. So it wasn't a single inspirational event. It was quite influential at the time.
It was, let's see, Malthusianism is the idea that population growth is potentially exponential while the growth of food supply or other resources is linear, which eventually reduces living standards to the point of triggering a population to die off. So that's a Malthusian idea. But
of course, didn't we kind of offset that, at least for quite a few decades, when they learned how to get nitrogen out of the air or something like that?
Oh, speaking of which,
am I referring to the right thing? Is it nitrogen out of the air or nitrogen out of some other stuff?
Out of the air. Are you talking about bacteria that fix nitrogen?
Whatever. It just provided more fertilizer than we had the capacity to produce.
Okay, chemists make N2 into ammonia in the most efficient electrochemical reaction ever. Now, these guys have created, this is in, let's see, what is it? Chemical and Engineering News today. They've created a device that they could basically put on farms to take nitrogen out of the air and convert it into ammonia. By the kilograms per day for farmers, so that the farmers could basically create their own fertilizer. And it's supposed to be the most efficient thing ever. I will link this article in my description. But anyway, that was, when you said nitrogen, I just went off on a tangent. I'm sorry, I'm back now.
Well, that's the thing right there is it seems like we can actually, except for the maybe the amount of land that is serviceable for that purpose, it seems like we've offset the inability to produce food to keep up with the population.
Yeah.
Right, but is that sustainable is the question.
Right. And yeah, we definitely need to think in those terms as well. And like this new technique that was successfully done, is it going to create climate hazards, climate problems?
So what the fuck are they using? Okay, electron-based selectivity is something that has... Okay, the device, it's small and portable, which makes it ideal for farmers to have on site. The device doesn't have to be Haber-Bosch chemical plant size and producing thousands of tons a day. It can produce kilograms per day, which is exactly what farmers want. Let's see, but how in the fuck is it? Where does it get its energy? Electricity? Likely make a stable, practical process for sustainable ammonia production a reality. That's pretty cool. I linked it in the chat. Anyway, okay, I'm back again.
Just in. That's right. News on the nines or something.
Yep, news on the nines. Oh my God. I've been looking at this picture all day and I just looked at what it really is. What the fuck are they? Oh my God, these people.
Yeah, they're silly. They're silly little critters.
What do you mean you just realized what it is?
I just saw the Darwin face. I didn't look at the monkey part at all. I just didn't look at the picture. I rejected it. My mind said, nope. I don't know. Anyway.
Something like, the study of earthworms, without any prior baggage or assumptions on my part that my view of the world isn't seen through rose-colored glasses, that I don't have any preconceived notions, and that my investigation of the earthworm just will sort of imprint itself upon me as a blank slate. That it comes with its own sort of prepackaged interpretation that's not related to the rest of my beliefs and assumptions.
He's saying that in order to study earthworms, you have all these presuppositions. You have a presupposed worldview that you're approaching it with, and you can't just study earthworms.
I just don't believe in enslaving earthworms, man. This channel is against that. If you're a pro earthworm enslaving person, we don't want you here.
Anyway, this guy
would even enslave earthworms.
This guy produces like an hour and 35 minutes of the finest word salad that I've encountered this week anyway. So
This is for an hour and 35 minutes?
yeah, he goes on for an hour and 35 minutes.
My gosh.
And he has that picture of the Darwin ape. I kind of like to have one of those for a pet.
A Darwin chimp?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be a great pet?
That would also be a good
so.
website. DarwinChimp.com. Maybe they do email.
I don't know. You know, I mean, can you imagine if you walked up to somebody's yard and that thing came running out barking at you?
They just run.
Yeah. Fucking A.
Splashing urine everywhere.
You get off my lawn. Yeah, that's that would be a great caption for this. Oh, perfect. Okay, so Andrew, what do you got for us today, Andrew?
I guess, well, I got two things for us today. First, actually, which one do I want to cover first?
The logical, probable.
Sure. Yeah, let's.
Probable.
Okay. Sorry, I lied. Three things, two of which are connected with LPP stream, and one connected with SFT stream. So, one of them's actually real quick. So, you know that Alec Cox guy?
Oh yes. Oh
my
yes.
gosh.
He's the guy that got kicked out of.
Sometimes
he got kicked out of Dinosaur Adventureland. He got kicked.
That explains it.
He got kicked out for being too much of a sexist to be at Dinosaur Adventureland.
Oh, good.
You have to be pretty low.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Okay. So you're not going to believe this. Okay. So the previous subject, before he came in and said this on the panel, was basically about inflation theory. And I was kind of mentioning in side chat, or because they were kind of, everyone was mocking the idea of false vacuums. And I kind of put inside chat, I bet half the people in this side chat don't even know what a false vacuum is. And Alec Cox was, he kind of came in a few minutes later and he was like, oh, Andrew's talking about false vacuums. Well, that's just writing on the chalkboard like E equals MC squared.
Okay.
That's sinking for a minute. Let's see. I wonder if I can find the actual clip. It was like right after he came in. So
right after he came in. Okay.
I think so. Like a minute after he came in, or so.
Okay.
Like when you listen to it, you'll have to, because if you know anything about physics, it's bonkers what he just said.
Oh, we're getting there. There he is. Okay, no, he just came in.
It's a great age. Stay with it. Oh, Andrew Cummings talking about false vacuums in the side chat. Jeez. It's just like, okay, it's a theory. We put on a chalkboard, like E equals MC squared. Same deal. It's like,
Well, here's the thing. Like, I don't have a problem with false.
Okay, unpack that for us, Andrew.
So, what he's implying there, it's like the whole just a theory thing, but more than that, he's implying that E equals MC squared, the concept of it is theoretical. It's never been tested, never been looked at. It's a purely hypothetical concept. That's kind of what he's implying here. It's just math on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Now, part of that's true. It is mathematical.
Yeah.
But the concept has been tested. Like if you go to a particle accelerator, like the Large Hadron Collider, you can see matter being turned into energy, energy being turned back into matter. If you've ever heard of the Casimir effect, I think actually King Crocodile debated this topic with Kent Hovind one time, but that's a whole other issue. Yeah, there are experiments that indicate you can turn matter into energy and energy into matter. So I don't even know what he's getting at here, because it's not a theoretical concept. Like, this is standard relativistic physics. So to kind of equate the notion of false vacuums are theoretical with E equals MC is theoretical, it made me laugh inside.
Okay. So explain false vacuums to us, and what is it?
I was thinking it was one of those vacuums that they sell it to you, they promise you the world, but it turns out it blows dirt instead of
right.
it in.
Oh, right.
And you're
Okay.
mad at the salesman, and you can't find them anywhere to get your money back.
Is this about like what the fuck is it? Bubble? What the fuck is it called? Okay,
Bubble
things arising out of a
whatnot.
vacuum. What's that?
Bubble universes?
Yeah, is this about things arising out of a vacuum?
Yeah, kind of. Okay, so this might take a minute of explaining. So basically,
Good.
as an analogy, think of a ball rolling down the side of a hill. Okay, so the ball wants to go to the most stable state possible that it can get to. And of course, in this analogy, the closest to the ground is the most stable state. Okay, so if you have just a curved hill, it's going to start at the top and roll down. So that's basically going from an unstable state to a stable state.
Right.
Basically, what a false vacuum is essentially, you can think of it as between the top of the hill and the bottom of the hill, the most stable state, there is a kind of mini valley in between them. So I wish I had like a drawing on hand, but basically you have the curve, and then it creates a little valley, and then there's a bump, and then going down even more, and then there's an even deeper valley lower down. Okay, so you know what I'm kind of talking about.
Like a chemical reaction with an energy barrier, basically.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
So that kind of state in the middle there, that valley, that's not the deepest valley. That second to deepest valley, that's what's called a
metastable.
Yeah. And essentially, what the false vacuum is kind of related to that type of state. Basically, it's going from a state that's not completely unstable, but not completely stable either. And from that, as it moves to a stable state, you get some energy released, and that's related to how inflation works, supposedly. So, of course, the math and physics behind it is much more complicated, but that's the basic idea, as I understand it.
So what the hell is IAI news?
I'm not sure exactly. I literally. Oh, quick! Leo just popped in. Did I say anything wrong, Leo? Because you're kind of the physics guy around here.
Yeah.
If not, you might want to back up a minute and see if I explained false vacuums correctly.
Well, let me invite that guy.
Yeah, that'd be good, since we're also going to be talking about dark matter. Wink, wink, hint, hint.
Yeah, why panpsychism is baloney.
Oh yeah, I think this is like a philosophy kind of website overall.
Okay, I don't know what it is, but so Maddox posted this.
Yeah, he posted this in the side chat of that video.
Yeah,
and I guess they were talking about cosmology at one point. He just linked it in just popped it down there, and I was probably one of the few people who looked at it, because I'm gonna tell you, this is one of the most sensationalized type of astronomy articles I've ever seen, because it's making bold claims left and right. And what's surprising is this is from an actual astronomer, not a cosmologist, mind you. His research is in stellar dynamics and things related to that, but not like cosmogenesis, how the universe began, or how large-scale structure forms, not that kind of thing. But that's kind of here and over there. What really got me is basically, because he's clearly against dark matter. He's pushing this, what's called a modified gravity type of idea.
Okay.
And just to kind of, if anyone has heard of this kind of idea, you've probably also heard of the term MOND, modified Newtonian dynamics, which isn't a it's not a term that describes all of the models. It kind of only describes the simplest ones, and those, of course, have been falsified because they don't explain really anything too much. So one of the things as I was reading down that really got me, and if Leo's still around, this will probably might drive him insane, is at one point in kind of hashing out some of these supposed weaknesses with dark matter, which some of them are weaknesses. The dark matter model is not by any means perfect. It hasn't solved all problems at this point. It does explain a wide variety of different observations, and that's why it's stuck around for so long. Oh, there it is. But basically, at one point, and I don't remember exactly where it is, but at one point he says something along the lines of the CMB radiation, instead of being, quote, the photosphere of the hot Big Bang, could be explained by dust emission. Which, if anyone has really gone into cosmology...
Wait, who said that? Sal said that?
No, this...
no, it's right here.
The article here.
Oh, this guy wrote this article.
Pavel Krupa.
Who wrote this article? Who's the author?
His name is Pavel Krupa.
I can't see it.
Astronomer.
Okay, it's right here.
Pavel Krupa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Professor of astrophysics at the University of Bonn in Germany.
Yeah.
Wikipedia. It's a Czech Australian astrophysicist professor.
By the way, thanks for joining us, Leo, since we are talking about some astronomy-related stuff.
Yeah, and there's that.
As a result of hold on. In 1990, group of guys took the first precise manipulation. Also discovered.
Are you reading it on your own, or
Yes.
are you reading it off the
Yes,
screen?
I am reading it on his workplace.
Well,
I linked this.
television. I tell you what.
I linked
As
this.
a
As a
result
result
of
of this work, and since 2010, Krupa has concerned himself increasingly with cosmology. While the cosmological standard model does not offer a unique solution to the cosmic background radiation and the cosmological expansion, he claims that the observed structures on scales of about 1 kiloparsec and above falsified the standard model of cosmology, that is. The implication of his work is that effective gravity must be non-Newtonian in the ultra-weak field limit. There's some people I could ask about his work. I'm sure I would be told that it's not something that you should probably be interested in.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He's definitely not a cosmologist.
The one thing, he is an astrophysicist, but yeah, I suppose
Right.
astrophysicist doesn't necessarily mean cosmologist. You could be
Right,
an
yeah,
astrophysicist
that's all I'm
focused
saying.
primarily on like plasma astrophysics, and high energy processes,
Right.
radiative processes, and know nothing
I'm
about
just saying.
early universe
Just
physics.
saying, you have being an expert in astrophysics doesn't necessarily mean you're an expert in all of cosmology. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, people have theories. There's something weird about dark matter, and we're dying to find out, right?
Right.
Yeah, but the point that really trying to drive home here is, okay, there are these several different lines of evidence or different observations that we found that dark matter does a pretty good job of explaining. Now, what happens is you can come up with different modified gravity theories that can explain some of that, like isolated pieces here and there. For example, you can come up with a model that explains how galaxies rotate, but then those models don't necessarily explain other phenomena, such as the bullet cluster. Now you can come up with, for example, models that explain the bullet cluster, but those models don't explain the fluctuations in the cosmic microwave background radiation.
Yeah.
And you can come up with models that can explain the CMB radiation, but those models don't kind of explain the clustering of galaxies on large scales that dark matter does nearly as well. So it's kind of going all over the place here. It's not that these models can't explain any of it, that you can have different models explaining different things. But the fact is, dark matter is currently the accepted, or the most widely accepted explanation, because it explains all the data simply and coherently. That's kind of the point that I think is missed in some places is that. So I hope that makes sense.
Okay.
Kind of my astronomy nerd jumping out here, I know, but.
So, so this whole stream was, first of all, going after Godless Engineer and the information stuff, right? That's kind of what it was about. The LPP stream, Lil PB. And Lil PB's birthday, how old is he? 40? Did he finally turn 40?
I don't know. He just said it was his birthday.
I wonder if he grew hair on his balls yet. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, happy birthday, John. Yeah, he was going after Godless Engineer for most of it, but then they got into cosmology here. Did they go any further? I'm at the Alex Cox part.
No, I was kind of, like I said, was commenting on that article in the side chat, and John was like, "Oh, Andrew, you're cracking me up. You're insulting this PhD astronomer, and he's saying dark matter has been debunked and all this God. And that." And but that's the thing I'm trying to drive home here is like, you can find pretty much in any field someone who disagrees with the consensus, but dark matter is the consensus view. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's right, but saying that there are some weaknesses with it, therefore it's been completely overturned, as the article says, is kind of unfounded at this point.
Well, Dr. Stephanie Trenton
would agree with me.
Dr. Stephanie Trenton says that dark matter's for fools. I think we can ignore that. Okay.
I don't know what paradox she's referring to there. There's not been a paradox that's need to be logically solved by dark matter.
Yeah. Okay.
And anyways, that's the thing on the LPB stream.
That was it.
Any comments, Leo?
Well, I've been trying to read this. So this guy is saying that the Chandrasekhar dynamical friction doesn't exist with respect to galaxies containing dark. Like if they contain dark matter, we should see that, except that we shouldn't actually see that. That's not a thing we would expect to see. A lot of this, I believe, has to do with the gravity of like baryonic matter, the way that behaves as they move around each other. The dark matter that's already there isn't going to have any effect on this. So we wouldn't actually expect to see that with respect to dark matter. So this guy is, this is...
You're cutting out a little bit, Leo.
Cutting out a little bit. Uh-oh.
We lost Leo.
Down for the count.
Yeah, I love that Leo icon. Now that we have some dead air.
Yeah,
it's a good icon.
Yeah.
Good icon. Anyway.
It's a good icon.
Yep.
Right there among the best.
And I hope he pops back because I really want to hear what he had to say.
Yeah.
Hey, I was able to go out in the backyard with my my dog and walk around without sweating so bad and feeling so hot that I was wishing for the sweet release of death or a swimming pool. It rained this afternoon, and it just feels so nice outside.
Yeah.
What a relief.
Water is always good.
Got up to 84 here, but it's humid as fuck. But it was started out at 65 today. So we had a 20-degree change in temperature in the last 6 hours. Is that good?
Well, it just means you got a weather system coming in.
Yeah.
And y'all have been having more weather systems come in than Texas has, that's for sure. At least my part of Texas. I'm sure Texas is so big, there's probably storm systems every day somewhere.
Yeah, we're having some weird shit going on where we'll get, like, storms will come in and then they part around Minneapolis, but when they do hit and we get winds, the winds have been making the weirdest noises, like this weird sort of howling noise that a lot of people have commented on that they'd never heard before.
Does it spell out the words creationism?
I think it's saying you're fucked. You're fucked. I think that's what it's trying to say. Something really different about the weather patterns that, and that I don't think I've seen in my, entire time down here in down south. I live down south in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Well,
rather, yeah, I came from
like the planet itself is changing.
Yeah, something's odd. It's just really weird. We had a weird tree blow down in my neighbor's yard.
Yeah, the weather is definitely changing everywhere.
Yeah. Boo. Jason Jacoby has joined us.
It was very scary. I tinkled slightly when he went boo.
I know, it scared me too.
You'd be nice.
So what else? What else was I going to cover? God, there's so many things, so many damn things.
The SFT video, or do you have something else?
No, we could go there. The ocean sediment. Okay, this guy. What the fuck is this guy on about? Okay.
Apparently, they found some stuff they think is supporting the timeline of how the flood occurred, not considering whether a flood occurred, of course, but
I want to show you his technical diagram. This Michael Oard is he has written papers in secular journals on meteorology because he is a meteorologist.
Yep.
And he's written a lot of articles on geology that have only been published in like Answers News and crap like that, right?
Yep.
So, and he's got this wonderful chart here, which shows you. Let me get rid of my name. Okay, what the fuck? Okay, so I think this is water level. Fountains and windows close. Arc runs aground. Right here. I don't know what the fuck. Can you make out what? Okay, there's a lot of rain for 41 days, right?
So 40 days. Is that an x-axis or something? Is this an x-y axis thing?
This is the days of the year of the flood. Okay, it's 360 days he goes up to, or 371 days. Okay, because you can see on his geology map here that Noah releases raven and doves, which I have seen on every geology map I've ever looked at. I mean, every serious geologist always records that point, right, where Noah releases the raven and the doves. And then let's see, ark cover removed. That's also a really important geological milestone. But okay, so is this water level? So 41 days, it's raining, water goes way up.
Well, yeah, because like there's no y-axis there, right? So we don't know what he's illustrating or what the units are. Like technically, the y-axis is either Noah enters the ark or whatever Noah here on the lower right-hand corner.
Wow, Noah was in the ark for 7 days before it started to rain. Didn't it get a little hot in there? Hot in the humid?
They've had to start pre-boarding.
Because I see a -7 down here on the bottom. Oh, I'm not showing the days on this. Goddamn StreamYard clips off most of what OBS. Okay, now you have the days. Okay.
So the days are no hotter, right? Okay.
Is it better now?
Well, yeah, I knew there was numbers on the x-axis, or you can at least infer the numbers on the x-axis from what was labeled on the on the graph, but I don't know what he's measuring.
But okay, Noah enters the ark -7 days, and then it starts raining on the 0th day, and then we have 41 days of rain, and fountains and windows. What are windows? Windows close.
Windows of heaven or whatever, yeah.
Oh, the windows that pour down water.
The windows or portals of heaven,
Okay, so fountains of the deep and windows.
Because a lot of people believe in that canopy thing, and so it's like you open up a window to the canopy that lets the outside water in or something. I don't know.
Right, but I think he was making the case back here that hang on a second, let's see if he was saying that basically all of this erosion, 6,000 meters in Central Appalachians, 2,400 in Namibia, and all that stuff occurred after that peak when the water started to subside. That basically we had all that erosion going on. So we had 6,000 meters of erosion in 300 days. Right? Is that what he's saying? Okay, 6,000 meters. That's 1,800 feet roughly of erosion in 300 and it'd be about 320 days according to this.
Yeah, no.
So yeah.
It's actually at about 3 miles.
Well, there's all this water, 18,000 feet, about 3 miles. Yeah. So there's all this water basically flows off. Okay, where does it flow to? Where the fuck does it flow to? It's flowing off the continents. Where does it flow to?
Well,
the windows.
Some people I've heard say it flowed back into the mantle, and that's where all the submarine water came from and left. Remember that?
Yeah. Do they understand that the water the water inside of the earth is bound up with coordination bonds with minerals?
That's what we said before.
Yeah. It's not really liquid water down there. It's just, oh my goodness. Anyway, so it flowed back in and got absorbed again. But what was there a big hole? Okay, so when it blew up and blew out of the fountains of the deep, it left a big hole, and then it flowed back into the hole, and then it eroded 6,000 meters of mountain. No.
It's
okay,
bonkers, man.
Okay, you had more stuff to say about this video. Let's see what does he got? Oh, he's got proof here. I don't see Noah's
releasing. Do you want the specific time, or are you still going on it?
No, I'm done. Okay, specific time.
Like concrete.
You got a time?
I think it's like an hour, 20 minutes.
You think it's like? Okay, you're supposed to be a fucking scientist. Couldn't you be a little more precise?
When did I say I was a scientist?
Okay. Now this is an hour and 20 minutes right here.
Okay, just start it for a few seconds and let me see if it's the right place.
Okay. How much money we were generating out of it, etc., etc. But one of the other things that I want to add to.
Okay, we're here.
Yep.
Okay, let me drop a bookmark on that.
This like 5 minutes of stuff I want to review on this part right here.
Your presentation, Mike, is the incredible amount of work that creation research John Mackay.
Okay, or if you want to go back a few seconds, but basically because I did promise George Bond in the side chat the stream yesterday that I would go over his claims here. So if you're listening, George Bond, you probably aren't, but if you are, please stop and hopefully listen to this part, and maybe you'll gain some information from it.
Yeah, George Bond gaining information seems to be a tough one. Okay.
Okay.
Out of it, etc., etc. But one of the other things that I want to add to your presentation, Mike, is the incredible amount of work that creation research, that's John Mackay, has done on layering, and he's done heaps of flume experiments. And Donnie, I'd just like to share my screen so I can show Mike, because I'm not sure whether he's aware of the type of geological features we can actually create in a flume experiment. Most of us are aware of flume experiments where we create horizontal layers in a sideways pattern from, say, upstream to downstream. But this is going to blow your mind, Mike, if you haven't seen it already. So, Donnie, please share my screen.
Sure. And I haven't. I'm not aware of this.
Oh, well, get ready. Can you see that, Donnie?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see there, Mike, not only did we create layers, but we also created these anticlines and synclines.
They created a lot
And
of liars for
yeah,
they created a lot of liars for creationism.
A lot of liars. Yeah.
Okay. So look how it's labeled: strata, syncline, anticline. Okay, if you're a geologist, those are not strata. Okay, those are because all they're doing here is mechanically sorting sand grains,
density, right.
grains. Yeah, it's graded bedding here is what it is. Like you can clearly tell that those are just individual grain sands that have been sorted by density. Those aren't stratigraphic layers. Like what you would need. Of course.
Like that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that does. Well, actually, that illustrates the point. Actually, thank you. Because yeah, you can get all these supposedly amazing-looking forms and shapes and these different sediment. Well, for one thing, it's not rock yet; it's just sediment. Okay, but notwithstanding that, you're not getting the entire geologic column. Or excuse me, I should say, you're not getting the entire geologic record, all the strata around the world, from mechanically sorting these the same type of material by water. It's just it's not possible.
Right.
Like,
There's
not everything is not everything is made of sand grains, which is what they're using here. So that'd be my first point.
this little toy I have here has blue and white sand, and they have a different density, and that's why they do that. And then it's in like I think it's in water with maybe some oil. Maybe it's oil. It seems like oil, so I think it's in oil because it doesn't flow like water. So either that or it's water between really thin plates. I'm not entirely sure what's in it, but maybe I should crack it open and weigh the sand. What do you think? And anyway, so that's what it does. And yeah, you're right. So
I should say you might not call these strata, but it might be possible to call them laminations or laminae, which is there's kind of a vague, or what's the word I'm looking for?
They have another name for what the hell is it? I wish Orge was here.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, because you have bedding, which is these layers that are separated by these bedding planes, which is where the sediment deposition changes or erosion takes place. But within the actual strata, you can also have kind of mini strata, so to speak, that are these laminae, basically, which are really thin layers, which is kind of like they're displaying here, though. Like I said, it's hard to differentiate between that and just mechanically density sorted mineral grains like they're showing here.
So this John McCoy, he talks about, if you do a Google search on John McCoy and strata, you don't come up with anything other than global vice president of customer service.
Well, yeah, I think actually later Michael Oard says that they haven't actually published this work, or that they should publish it.
So there's like nothing. So who the hell is this dude? Is he some guy in his backyard with a bunch of sand? Is that who he is? Because he's not coming up.
You know, there's a lot of bozos out there who have written papers that they think ought to be published.
Oh, like Cel Cordova with his Rasmusization paper that he's going to publish. I'd love to see that fucking shit.
Because this is the exact same work that was done by a guy named Guy Berfault. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, but
do you know how to spell that?
I'll put in the private chat.
Thank you, sir. Because I've run into him, and is he the crazy one, or is he the guy that actually did the work at the Colorado Institute of Mines and Mining and Engineering?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Okay.
But he did work similar to this, and he's kind of the one that they started jumping over this from. So
Yeah,
of course, not this general not information has been known to geologists for decades before him. Like, this isn't anything revolutionary or new. Like, so for anyone wondering out there, I'm not disagreeing with the actual experiments, because these are good experiments. Like, what I'm disagreeing with is the conclusions that they come from, that they arrive at based on them, because the conclusions they come up with are not supported by these experiments at all.
One Google hit is it true that young Earth creationists are among the most dishonest group of people on Earth?
I would answer that in the affirmative.
Where did you find that?
I just Googled John McCoy, Strata creationist.
And what website is that?
The one about the most dishonest. Oh, it's a Quora. It's yeah. It's just a random post guy asking a question. Probably on, let me see, which one is that? Is it Quora.com? So anyway, I get links to that all the time. Yeah, okay, I can't find anything on this fucking John McCoy, but okay, should we go forward and hear if...
Yeah. Or actually, I want to make one more point, since he's talking about how you can create these geomorphic features, like these synclines and anticlines, that look like the real thing, but there lies the key word. They look like the real thing. That doesn't necessarily mean they are the real thing. Because if you know anything about geology, you can have processes that are like a miniature scale version of things that are in the geologic record are very large, but it isn't always the case that these smaller scale features are a result of the same processes as the larger ones. Like, you have to do a bit more work than that to find out than just scaling things up. Because if you have a river or this water or whatever they're using here flowing over a bottom of a river or something and depositing these sediments, that's gonna leave something different than the actual giant features that you see on the landscape.
Well, along with that, if it's deposition over time, right? First of all, you're going to have different layers coming off of the higher regions, with gravity, the mountains and the hills and whatever. So you're going to have, as that erodes, that is going to change as it goes down, right? Because it's not all constant. And then the sediment is forming, right? And the sediment is forming over a great deal of geologic time, and you're going to have a different composition and chemistry in that lake or in that ocean or wherever the sediment is being formed.
Right.
Oftentimes, right? And then you're going to have effects like oxidation at the surface, which is going to leave a sharp layer or sharp color,
right,
in between those sediments. You're going to be able to like if I were to take this sand in this little toy I have, and I analyze the blue sand from a layer on the bottom and then a blue sand from a layer up on top, I would end up with exactly the same chemical composition. That is not the case with rocks.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
And not only the chemical composition, but you're going to find that because of the weight of the sediment, you're going to find a difference in the metamorphosis of that rock as it goes down. And, there's going to be a difference on the kind of the texture of it, basically, how lithified it is. Yeah, the diagenetic timeline as the rock forms, basically. It's going to be different, and that they never address. They come up with this bullshit. Like, and the other thing is, like, if you go from one side of the earth to the other and look at sediments, if you're to believe that the flood somehow eroded 1,800 meters of a mountain and laid it across the ocean, you're not going to find any differences all the way across. I mean, if it was all turbid, right?
Right.
And the entire ocean was like just filled with sediment and then it all settled out, you're not going to find any difference from one side to the other, from one geological location or geographical location to another.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why they don't talk about that a lot. I mean, they don't actually go down and talk about show actual micrographs and actual chemical analyses of these different layers.
Right. It's like you said, they think all these layers are made of the same material, the sand and mud just mixed together, and you form they often just call sediment dirt, right? Like,
yeah,
they think it's actual dirt that's just making up all these layers, when no, like you said, the rocks can have different, or the individual layers can have different mineral and chemical compositions.
Well, then they call diagenesis, which is the formation of rock. They call it hardening. Like it dried out and it hardened.
Yeah, that's not how it works.
And that's just totally not what happened. And
it's overly simplistic, at least.
It is hardening.
Yeah.
So it hadn't hardened yet, so it bent and it didn't crack and all this bullshit. So we'll listen to a little bit of George Bond.
Yep, let's keep going.
So okay, Australian accents. If you have an intelligent person, it could make them sound really intelligent, though British accents make them sound smarter yet. But if you got a dumb Australian, they sure sound dumb.
Ooh,
I guess. Yeah, that's uncalled for. But Ian sounds really smart. George Bond sounds kind of like a fool to me when he talks. I don't know.
How dare you?
He says this kind of ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, anyway. Well, it's just a theory. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a theory.
Varying certain parameters like velocity of the water and the direction of the water. In this particular case, we simulated water coming from the Great Deep. So you can see that geological feature there. That's a flume cross section. You could pretty much match that with any geologic book where they've got similar type cross sections of actual geological layers.
When
and of course,
fact, as we just
further,
showed, you cannot.
There's a fault being introduced. That's not due to uplift or anything. It was due to the introduction of water from below. There you go. Yes, the
water from the where? Water from
below. The
below.
Below.
He said
below.
The below.
below.
Cracking straight line was caused by water, not by earth cracking. And there's the flume. So if you don't believe me, that's the flume there. You can see the various layers that were formed. So the layers were coming from the right to the left, but the layers were forming in reverse in the middle. And you can see some of these fantastic geological features that you'd never believe.
The other thing is, if you were to measure the density of the different layers, you would find that they didn't sort out the way this thing sorts out.
Right.
Like I say, if you took the black rock there and measured the density and then the white rock, okay, and you're not gonna find the same density of material with a layer of rock. You're gonna find differences, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not going to sort out the way, because it wasn't sorted by gravity, and that proves that they're wrong. But they never actually get down to actually doing those kinds of calculations. I wonder why.
Yeah.
These were formed in a flume, but they were okay. So here's a good comparison.
Like
bottom
there.
picture.
That's like a clear picture. You can clearly see that's. It's graded bedding. It's this.
Yeah. One of the problems is, and they do this with biology too. They take a diagram.
Like even on the diagram down there, it's completely different. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. But I mean, they'll take a diagram, like on the bottom, that's a cartoon diagram of rock strata, right?
Right.
And so it gives you information. And they use different textures and things to show you the differences in the layers.
Right.
And they frequently take their diagrams and believe that is the reality, but that isn't the reality. The reality is a whole lot more complex and messy than what you're looking at there. Like if you were to
It's
actually
not as
drill a
straightforward
core.
to recognize these rocks as you think
Right.
it is.
Right. If you drilled a core, you would not see those nice little vertical lines, and then this dense. You're not going to see that.
Yeah.
And then they do their little toy. They have a toy, is what they had, just like I do. They do that experiment, and it looks like the cartoon, and so they come to a full stop. Prove creationism right there.
Yep.
Anyway.
All seen in geology books,
Mm-hmm.
and the top picture is an actual flume experiment that John Mackay had performed to show how similar they look and why you don't need millions of years. In actual fact, that top picture there, Mike, was created in 20 minutes. In 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And not only that,
Because
but using rotary flumes, you can see they created both.
Because we all know, based on modern geology, that all layers take millions of years to form.
Right.
One on top of the other. There's no such thing as storms or tsunamis or hurricanes or just rivers flooding their banks. No, that's just we don't even consider that because we're so close-minded.
Oh, I gotta. Okay, yeah. We are so close-minded.
The layers and the landscapes. So we can answer a lot of these questions that are put forward to us.
Wait a minute. Why a rotary flume? Was the flood rotary? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. It just went on a circle round and round.
I've heard there was this one movie where they were showing the tidal waves were like 700 feet tall and they were washing across the continent. And I don't know where the fuck they came. I guess that was when the fountains of the deep erupted.
Yeah,
and
the rotary, I think, would probably be giant, huge mega whirlpools or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hypercanes. I don't know.
Created all the landscapes.
Mm-hmm.
God, it takes a whole lot of faith to believe that 360-day water sloshing around did all this, right?
Takes a lot of ignorance, too.
A lot of ignorance, too. John McKay. Oh. McKay, not McCoy. What the fuck? He pronounced it McCoy, didn't he?
McCoy.
Yeah. That's John McKay.
Maybe that's an A. Maybe he's from New Zealand.
I think
like somebody animated place, I think, suggested.
Okay, John McKay. Yeah, that is a whole different.
McKay. I don't know.
Okay, now I found him. Ask John McKay. Creation questions and answers. Okay.
McKay. I
Who
sound
said
like
McCoy?
a bad Jerry Lewis imitation. I better stop.
Oh my goodness.
Finish this and then go over that if you want.
Yeah, there he is, Mr. John. Oh, he's got the hat.
Yep.
So we know he's a geologist. Right. Okay.
Was by these skeptics out there. The other point I wanted to make before we go to the questions was I think there's a skeptic in the chat. I'm not sure if he's still here, but his name's Mark C.
I posted a link in the private chat if you want to start pulling that up because that's going to be relevant in a sec.
Okay. Gotcha. I'll work on that.
I was going to say that if you ever want to buy one of those hats, you do have to produce proof that you're a certified geologist.
So I searched for a geologist costume, and I came up with all these really sexy women's costumes for geologists, right? I think that's what I'm going to wear.
Yeah, you'd have to show your belly button and like tie off the front of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't what I was originally searching for, but that's all it came up. So I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I could, I don't know. We'll see what I choose. Okay. Gotcha. I got the link up. So.
Okay.
He claims to have studied geology. Well, a lot of us have studied geology, but, having qualifications and practicing in geology is a different thing. But one of the things I wanted to point to him is the Pete Sandstone.
Wait, I actually want to know that.
Yes.
And you're probably aware of.
Okay, let's hear that again, shall we?
Okay.
That's pretty noteworthy what he just said.
Out there. The other point I wanted to make before we go to the questions was I think there's a skeptic in the chat. I'm not sure if he's still here, but his name's Mark Siegel. He claims to have studied geology. Well, a lot of us have studied geology, but having qualifications and practicing in geology is a different thing. But one of the things I wanted to
what?
Yeah, boy.
How does he know that this Mark C?
Mark.
Who is he talking about?
Say Mark Reed or Mark Siegel?
Because he said he studied geology in college in the side chat I was in.
Okay.
But just noting what he said there, just because you study geology on, say, Google University, for example, doesn't mean that you are an expert or have qualifications in geology, which applies to me as well, because I am by no means an expert in geology. But it also means neither is George Bond, neither is Standing for Truth, neither is Michael Oard to some extent.
He's a meteorologist.
Right.
Has not published in geology at all.
That's not saying you can't say something intelligent about it, but they're obviously not saying something intelligent about the subject.
Yeah, if they were saying something intelligent, we'd give them a break.
Right. People would listen. Right. Yeah. Anyways.
Him is the Pete Sandstone. I believe you touched on it.
Oh my God, Pete Sandstone. Why the fuck are they so obsessed with that?
Because they think they got a silver bullet here when they don't actually.
Yes.
And you're probably aware of the actual testing that Andrew Snelling, Dr. Andrew Snelling, has done on those 90-degree bends. Now, the secular explanation for those bends is they occurred due to lateral compression deep down in the crust at about 4 kilometers, which you'd need the amount of heat to bend those layers without cracking. But heat
and pressure.
Right, actually, go back a few seconds. Okay. All right. Now, can you pull up that link I posted in the private chat? Because I'm going to show what the actual science says, and let's hear what George Bond thinks it is. And apparently what Andrew Snelling thinks it is, too.
Okay.
Yep, Jason's already onto it. Okay. All right, go down a little bit. I'll tell you when to stop.
Keep going.
Yep. Okay, that diagram right there. Is there any way you can zoom in on it?
I gotta hang on a second. Let me see. Okay. Can I zoom in on it? No, but I could do this. I can grab it and zoom. Let's see. Whoops. Oh, damn it. Hold on a minute.
I want to put this in the description when the stream's over, if you want.
That is in the description already, Andrew.
Oh,
what do you
okay.
think?
Looks like Eric 311 is making a good point about measuring rotation.
You think I'm some kind of loser?
No.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Yay. Okay. Oh, too much. Okay. There we go. All right. So he said 4 kilometers, right? Which is close to where we think the depth the Pete Sandstone was buried. It's about 10,000 feet from most of the sources I've seen, but let's just take 4 kilometers. Okay. That's about halfway down on the right y-axis over there. Okay. So we go down. Let's go to the left. Okay. You can clearly see we're in the white part of the section there. Diagenesis. Notice diagenesis is different from low-grade metamorphism, because I don't know if George Bond understands this, but heat and pressure by itself does not lead to metamorphism necessarily. Metamorphism is defined as the alteration, sometimes the recrystallization of the rocks and the minerals within due to heat and pressure, without any melting happening, of course, because then it turns into an igneous type of process. But diagenesis, the alteration of the rocks due to heat and pressure and just all this folding going on, isn't necessarily the same. It doesn't occur at the same depths and temperatures and pressures as even low-grade metamorphism. And going by the numbers he stated, which is close but not exactly correct, it's clearly below the temperature and pressure needed to go through even low-grade metamorphism. So essentially, what Andrew Snelling and George Bond here are attacking is a straw man, because no one would expect under these depths and pressures and temperatures for the Tepete sandstone to be undergoing low-grade metamorphism or even higher grades of metamorphism. You need, as Jason pointed out here, you need much deeper sites. You need higher temperatures and pressures generally, and it generally, for most rocks, it's above, like it says here, 200 or so degrees Celsius. For some types of rocks, it can differ, but for most types of rocks, 200 is the general boundary there.
So tell me, Andrew, have you taken actual geology courses, or have you gotten all this from what you've studied on your own?
I took a historical geology course a previous semester of college, but that's pretty much it. The rest I've gotten from online sources and talking to experts and whatnot.
I don't know if they do CLEP tests for geology, but man, I bet you could CLEP out of at least one semester.
I doubt that.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this diagram is the over here on the right is this wet partial melt. Basically, the line where it starts to melt, and it depends on pressure, depth, and temperature at the same time.
Right.
So, and right along that line, there's some really interesting effects on rocks.
Yep.
So,
yeah, that's just if anyone's going to take away the point I'm trying to make here is that metamorphism isn't a black and white thing, and folding by itself isn't a black or white thing. Hopefully, at least the audience understands that. We'll see if George Bond does.
Okay, let's see if George Bond does.
All right, now I want you to carefully note what he says in the next few seconds, because it's also relevant to this metamorphism issue.
Okay, I will try to do something I never do. I will pay attention.
90-degree bends. Now, the secular explanation for those bends is they occurred due to lateral compression deep down in the crust at about 4 kilometers, which you'd need the amount of heat to bend those layers without cracking. But here's the point, Mike.
Okay, no, the pressure.
You can already see the
it's a combination pressure and temperature, right?
Yeah, sorry. Well, that, and notice how we said that a depth and pressure, so that would the technical term for it is ductile deformation. Okay, so without any cracks or anything, when actually, despite what Andrew Snelling says, and actually tried to deliberately hide in some of the photographs he showed, as Dapper Dinosaur is clearly shown. There are fractures, there are cracks, because it didn't undergo ductile deformation. The Tepete sandstone had brittle deformation because it didn't occur at the depths and pressures that he's talking about here, as we indicated a few moments ago.
Yeah, everybody's aware of the picture where he had somebody stand in front of this giant crack.
Right. Exactly.
And it was so far away, and at such low resolution, you couldn't see all the other cracks.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, and they have egg on their face over that, but they never admitted it. never gone out and taken other pictures? And
Yeah.
Under that kind of heat and pressure, you'd expect to see crystallization in those 90-degree bends. Well, the current I think Andrew Stone is
this is just a bit nitpicky here, but he can't even get the term right. It's recrystallization.
Yeah.
Because the minerals are already crystallized. They crystallize after the magma chamber or something like that. It cools. That's crystallization. This is recrystallization. So just throwing that out there.
To write the paper, he's dotting his I's, crossing his teeth, but there was no evidence of crystallization in those bends. Hence, there was no heat involved. There was no metamorphosis in that process, which debunks the secular explanation that those 9-degree bends occurred 4 kilometers deep under the crust and then were later uplifted. So
it was brittle deformation in that Tapete sandstone layer, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
So no metamorphism, nothing of what he's saying here, because we didn't expect it to be there.
Right.
So hopefully we have demonstrated why George's claims on geology here are nonsense. But if you disagree with me, anyone in the audience, please feel free to let me know.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it from this one.
Yep. Pretty much it for the day. We covered a lot of things already. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I told you I had some content.
Yeah, content's good. Let's see. Oh my God, I forgot Praise I Am.
Did he do something?
Oh my God, he raped logic. He did so much damage. First of all, okay, this transcendental argument that he's got, logical absolutes exist. Oh, okay, first of all, he's got 7 premises, right? And then he pulls a conclusion out of his ass, just like Jay's in here, just like they always do, right? But if you look at, okay, logical absolutes are conceptual. Concepts exist in the mind only. And then 4, logical absolutes would exist even if your minds did not. Therefore, logical absolutes are transcendent. So basically, P4, he says that even if you didn't have minds, there would be logical absolutes, but you have to have minds to have logical absolutes. Like, what the fuck? Which one? So he's got contradictions in his premises.
Does he know what a premise is?
Yeah, and then he pulls. I mean, you can't. Maddox did the same thing. He had like 8 premises, and then he pulls a conclusion out of his ass, and they think that's logic. That's not logic.
Nope.
If you look at, I'm sorry. If you look up the CARM, if you look up Matt Slick's tag argument on the CARM website, that's what Praise has there is roughly correct. But I mean, Matt Slick even said his is kind of oversimplified in the article that he wrote about it, and then he kind of lays out, like he goes through every point and kind of lays out what he's referring to in each premise. But
I'm sorry.
That one right there, that one threw me. In fact, Grey Knight 77 was in the live chat, and he goes, "Yeah, premise 4 right there, it contradicts premises 1 through 3." Because you just established that concepts exist in minds only. They're mental, and then said that they can. Now you're saying that they can exist,
right?
If there are no minds, that doesn't make any. That's you're going to have to explain that.
At the very beginning here, he comes up with this. Oh shit! Am I paused or not? My fucking screen is screwing with me. Okay, if and only if, right? If A, if and only if B, right? Okay. He has it as if A is true, then B is true. If not A is true, then B is true. No, that's not if and only if. If and only if is like if A, then B, and if B, then A. That's how if and only if works. Okay. So Praise must have done this by himself. It's precious, that precious little boy.
The one argument that he has, I ran. It's a smaller. It's like only 2 premises and a conclusion. I ran that by Nicola, and he said, "Yeah, that one's technically valid, but I would really like him to tell us what he thinks intelligibility is."
Is it this one here? Oh yeah, it's above this. But I mean, I'm picking on his idea of logic.
Yeah.
Okay, if and only if it's biconditional, right? It means if A then B, and if B then A. Okay, those two things together form an if and only if, which is a biconditional. It does not say if A is true, then B is true. So the second thing, it's like if B is true, then A is true. And he got both of those wrong in B. And I don't know where Praise must have done this by himself. I can't believe he got it from anybody else, because nobody else would be this boldly ignorant.
Well,
right?
You never know. Sometimes propositional calculus like that ain't exactly the most intuitive thing, but
yeah. Okay, so where's the beginning of this? True pronged argument, preconditions of intelligibility. Oh, where the fuck is it? I'm trying to find that argument that the beginning argument.
Yeah, it's a very small one, and I looked at it kind of funny. I was like, it seems like it's kind of begging the question. And here's the interesting thing I found out about begging the question fallacies. They can technically be valid, but the problem is they're circular.
Well, yeah, the thing is that they also depend on rhetoric and what you're putting into the premises, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you stick something into the premise that is going to result in the conclusion, then you're begging the question. And that's what they do.
The other thing you have to ask them is, if it's a valid argument, do you think that it's true? And if they say yes, then they don't know what they're talking about.
Here it is.
But a valid argument isn't necessarily a sound argument.
Right. For there to be intelligibility in the world, God must exist. Okay, so he's saying if there's intelligibility in the world, then God exists. So he's putting his conclusion right into the fucking premise 1, and in premise 2, there is intelligibility in the world. Conclusion: God exists. Of course, that's valid, and that follows if you are to accept premise 1, which we don't. Premise 1 is the whole fucking argument that we would disagree with. You can't just. Oh my God! How do they?
The thing is that if I do my unicorn, my rainbow colored unicorn that shits gold bricks in my backyard, my argument for that unicorn being in my backyard is just as valid as that argument right there.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Premise 1 contains a conclusion, and premise. You don't need the rest. You're just saying, intelligibility requires God. Period. He just stated his fucking conclusion right here. Oh my God, this guy is so precious. And he goes on for some time, right? And then this, who is this guy that comes in and argues with him? Jeff Trimble? Do you know who that is?
Yeah, he's. I don't know if he identifies as agnostic. He's a non-believer. He's more prominent on Clubhouse.
Okay.
So that's where he's had discussions with Darth Dawkins and Jay Robin and a lot of those other, what I call Darth Dawkins flunkies and stuff like that. But he doesn't espouse. He kind of got on there to try to learn some stuff, and then when things didn't make sense, then they just got really upset with him and said he was stupid and he's a child who doesn't act his age. The usual stuff.
Yeah, I haven't listened to too much of this. I run into that little bit on logic where he got the if and only if all just totally fucking butchered it, and the rape of logic is something that I cannot watch. I have trouble.
Well, that seems to be a running theme with.
Well, the thing to do is to use logic to rape them. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, what were you going to say, Andrew?
I said that seems to be my experience too. Is when you make a good point and they can't respond to it, they call you immature, childish, insult you, all the usual stuff. Anyway,
so you don't want to.
If you go further in that same video, I made Darth Dawkins very upset with me.
In this video?
Yeah. I was in the live chat, and I made the claim that the precept argument is gaslighting.
Ooh.
He didn't like that.
He's such a sweet and gentle man. How come you perturbed him so much?
I wanted to.
Who's this tosser in the middle? Evolution false.
That's Darth Dawkins.
Oh my God! Really?
Yep.
That ain't a real picture of him, is it?
No, that's Bonson.
Oh,
That picture is Bonson.
yeah. I don't know who that picture is. So Darth is in there. So you're in the side chat and you comment, and Darth goes off in the live chat live.
Yeah, that's deleted. He gave me, I don't even remember where it's at. It's way near it's pretty much near the end, but it doesn't last long. I basically wrote that presup is when basically these guys assume to be charitable, he took it as a slight against Bonson and Van Til. And to be charitable, I can say, I don't know if Bonson and Van Til necessarily had the intent of presup to be, gaslighting. But from my position, from my opinion, the way that Dart Dawkins and his groupies use presup, it is gaslighting, right? Yeah. They're starting from the premise, or they're starting from, they know, they're going off of Romans 1. We know, all men know God in their hearts.
Yeah, yeah.
So they know that from the jump. So from their position, everyone knows this. Everybody else, and I've explained this before. And so what I was telling them is their position is they know your mental state. They know everybody's mental state is on board with theirs. They know God to exist. They're just saying that they don't know, or they believe it's not the case, or they lack belief. And then you just keep insisting that's not the case. Yeah. You know they're just in denial. And when they're using the word denial, it's not that they're saying no to it. It's denial in the sense that they know it's true, but you're saying no to it anyway. That's the denial part of it. So by trying to insist that you know another person's mental state, that becomes problematic, because now you're trying to manipulate the conversation to insist that they know something. They're just either deceiving you, deceiving themselves, or possibly both.
Yep.
It's like this ass wumpet here, Jay Dyer. He's his whole thing was basically that evolutionists are, they have this presupposition that's derived from British imperialism or some fucking thing, or the Enlightenment or empiricism, and that we're all wrong. And then he says that it leads to irrational things like naturalism and physicalism. It's like, what did you? I was like, oh my God. He goes on and on.
What was funny was Darth basically gave me 60 seconds to get into that stream right there to justify my claim, or I was going to be banned from the chat. And the last thing I wrote to Darth was, "Stay thirsty, Darth," and then I left.
Did your chats disappear? Or
Oh yes, okay. They all fucking disappeared.
Fuck, that's why I like to catch them live, because they frequently disappear. Okay. Anyway.
But real quick, if anybody here gets into a conversation with Darth, don't ask him that you haven't given an argument to prove God's existence, because he's not an evidentialist. He's a preceptor, and a preceptor doesn't use evidentialism unless they're sloppy as shit and they want to switch back and forth between evidentialism and precept. But from a precept position, they hold to the position that we all know God to exist. There is no proving something that you already know to exist.
Yeah. I think I would get in the same room with Darth Dawkins after I got into the same room with a rabid Doberman pincher.
Well, actually, it sounds like a room full of mental patients that have been declared incompetent to take care of themselves by the state.
Yeah. A stinky rabid Doberman pincher.
One of the things that came up in that particular video that I thought was interesting, I can't remember if he asked Jeff or if he asked, because Michael, the Canadian atheist, popped in there as well. And I can't remember. So either way, he asked this question about a criterion of things that would get you to believe God to exist. Right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people sometimes they think about that, like what, in other words, what would you need to be, what's needed to convince you that this God to exist exists, right? The problem with that particular question is that they're asking you for a criterion of evidence that would basically get you would convince you of this. But from a precept position, that's completely out of bounds,
right?
Because that's going more towards evidentialism right there.
Yep.
But in my opinion, what would get me to believe that a God or gods exist is examples of them, not just pointing at the world and saying the world is a byproduct of this thing necessarily existing without the example of that thing or things doing anything in states of affairs to begin with.
Yeah, if I had grown up in a world where every time people prayed, like in groups, that it had an effect that you could see, and there were miracles happening here and there, and God every now and then showed up on the Johnny Carson show or whatever, or Colbert, then I mean, if I had that history, then I would believe in God. If I had this history of having reason to believe in God all of my life, right? But I've had nothing like that for 71 fucking years. Nothing, and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to buy something just because a bunch of people say it's true or there's a book. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I started seeing miracles in my life just constantly, so that, things, you would fucking know. I mean, we understand reality. We understand that we're all naturalists. Every human being is. It's how we live our lives every day, right? No matter who you are, no matter how much of a believer you are, you behave every day as a naturalist. You get up and you pick your pants up and you put them on, you pour yourself a cup of coffee, and it's all natural things. And that's what that is what our epistemology is embedded in.
Yeah.
And some mornings I pour a cup of coffee on my pants.
I've done that.
Well, there's also, the thing is that if you're talking to someone like Praise kind of has this. It seems that he's drifted back into this idea that God isn't a separate agent. So God isn't like an agent that is transcendent. He is transcendent. He transcends space and time. But the weird thing is that everything exists. Reality in and of itself isn't real. So everything that you're facing, the reality, quote unquote, the realness of the things, the natural world, is nothing more than us existing in the mind of God.
Yeah.
So then what happens is they start to push this idea of a simulation. Well, the problem with using the word simulation is that a simulation is a simulation of something that's actual, right? Like a flight simulator. The whole point of a flight simulator is that it simulates actual flight, right? But they try to conflate or it seems that they're trying to conflate simulation to being the reality that is actual, but the reality is in God's mind that you're existing in. It's a very odd concept, but basically what happens is from that, everything that exists that is quote unquote actual is just conceptual.
Yeah.
So when we're doing
an idealist.
Yeah. So when I grab the bottle, or when Scott has his cup of coffee in the morning, that's nothing physical that he's doing, even though he's interacting with some kind of state of affairs. Praise will refuse that that's actually physical, and everything that you're just interacting with is just a conceptualization.
Right. And that all falls apart when you put two people in the same room and they have their own points of view, and you start to try to map that out.
Yeah.
Nothing that we would call physical. Nothing is physical.
Yeah, it's all in your mind. You're a complete idealist. I call that.
Yeah, it's almost like a form of it's actually, I think it is kind of like Berkeleyan idealism, where basically when I'm in a room, if God didn't exist and I'm in a living room and I go to my bedroom, everything that's in the living room ceases to exist when I leave the room. The only reason that the living room remains and my dog is sleeping on my couch is because the mind of God instantiates that reality when I move to another reality.
Yeah, and the problem with that is that collapses into solipsism because you can't maintain another mind, basically. Yeah. Well, then they'll say, well, there's all these different facets, and these different minds have different perspectives, but then why do they all match up so perfectly?
Well, the other problem is why is it, like Matt Dillahunty talked about this before, why is it he doesn't know all the music? Yeah. Why can't, and here's the problem with like the intelligibility argument. If God is that which instantiates intelligibility and all that's possible and impossible, why is it that I can't understand when a person is speaking in another language?
Right. Yeah, it is a mess when you try to map it out in detail mathematically. I spent 6-7 years on this forum with James T. and this other guy. God, I can't remember his name, but they were both. One of them was a mind of God idealist, like praise, and the other one was. I think he was the same thing. It was all mental, right? That sort of thing. James T. was kind of an idiot, but the other guy was pretty smart, and we went back and forth forever, and it was just he was so full of logical inconsistencies when it come down to trying to figure out these details about why I don't know what he knows and all that shit. And of course they construct, construct mental buckets or mental facets or whatever to get around.
He was trying to perform. It sounds like he was trying to do a reductio ad absurdum on you, and it was failing.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, there is something that I thought you guys might find funny. I don't know if you guys are. He's a YouTube user. He doesn't really go on live streams or anything, as far as I know. He goes by the name Mitchell, and he frequents Praise's channel.
I've seen him.
I think he's flirting with flat Earth. He asked this question in a live chat. This is from I think earlier last week, and he wrote something about why is it when you're if the Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour, he said 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, then if you're at the North Pole, doesn't it mean that the stars would be moving faster?
Oh my God.
And I went, are you kidding me?
Wait.
The stars are still very, very far away.
Yeah.
Wait.
It's like you're the observer. You're the observer in a car. Just because I went to the back seat doesn't change the speed of the vehicle. If I went from the back seat to the front seat, and then he was talking about
the solar system is like one of those actual constructed play sets.
I think he was just trying to troll for the sake of trolling, but it was just so. Yeah. And then he said, "Well, what like?" He goes, well, think about it. When you sit on like a merry-go-round and you look up at the stars and you start spinning, they start going faster. And I'm like, that's like saying that if I'm driving a car and I start moving my head back and forth, that's what the actual car is doing very quickly.
Right.
That's absolutely stupid. Yeah. Right. Or like we're driving at 60 miles an hour and I'm sitting in a van and I go to the very back and then very quickly run to the front. And I go, wait, we didn't actually move that fast. Yeah. I'm like, you guys, I think you guys stopped at 8th grade or 5th grade and just moved on to stupid.
Yeah, I'm thinking preschool. I don't know. Okay, guys, time to shoot her in the head.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? Everybody okay with that?
I enjoyed the discussion today.
Oh,
yep.
Thanks, God.
Yep.
I can swear more when we go off air. I prefer that.
Okay. Okay, boys and girls, we're going to shoot her in the head. Goodbye, cruel world.
Goodbye, everybody inside chat. It was great.
Yeah, thank you all inside chat. Yeah. Bye-bye.